Hey friends, this is Justin and Jared Showers with Home Basics Real Estate. Today's video could not be more important if you're looking to sell your home and purchase another. This is a really difficult transition to accomplish in a seller's market, which is what we're experiencing right now. Let me start off by saying that we make these videos whenever we find ourselves explaining the same concepts to many different clients. We have videos that cover a wide variety of topics, from understanding the Utah real estate purchase contract to how to win in a multiple offer situation, and many, many more. A lot of frustrated buyers who have lost out in many bidding wars come to us and say something like, geez, it must be great to be a seller in this market. Now there's some truth to that, but it can also be a very difficult challenge for sellers looking to make a move. It's fun to help our sellers get top dollar for their homes, but then they have to turn around and buy a home, and that puts them in the same position you're in as a buyer in a seller's market. But instead of being an unattached buyer, they have some perceived baggage that they're carrying around, which is a contingency to sell their home. Now, a perfect buyer in this market from our point of view as listing agents would be someone who is willing to post generous earnest money, comes in strong on the asking price, big down payment sitting in the bank, has nothing to sell, has limited contingencies with tight deadlines, and has a solid pre-approval, or maybe they're even a cash buyer. We want someone that can close very quickly and perhaps even allow our seller an extra week after closing to move out. If you're that kind of a buyer, then the odds are in your favor. Well, what about a buyer that has to sell a home in order to be competitive in that pool of buyers? Let me also state that in the new real estate purchase contract that came out in January of 2018, a buyer has to disclose if they have a home that they need to sell. Let's give you 5 scenarios that describe what you can do as a seller looking to make a move. I know most of you won't like this first scenario, so hang with us. We're always talking to our sellers about having an exit strategy. We can't just put your home on the market without having a plan. You can end up homeless within 30 to 40 days. I think you'll achieve more money and you'll negotiate differently if you make the choice to sell the home and then move into a short-term rental or an Airbnb, or just hang out with family for a time. We're suggesting a short layover of maybe a month or two. What I like about this option is that you get to play with the market a little bit because you have time on your side. Let's shoot for the moon and see how the market reacts. The good news is that we get almost immediate feedback on pricing right now. It allows us time to find the right buyer. The biggest advantage, though, is that we're in a much better position to negotiate through any of the little hiccups that inevitably come along throughout the transaction. If the buyer knows you have to sell your home to make your next purchase work, they may take advantage of that. When I suggest the scenario of selling your home and moving to a short-term situation, some people imagine loading up a big truck and then unloading it into a storage unit, and then they have to find their new home and they have to load it all into a truck again and move it to their new home. And certainly that would be a big pain. I know people don't want to move twice, but there are some great pod systems that can be delivered to your home where you can pack up all your stuff and then the company will pick up the pods and store them for you until you want them delivered to your new address. See, that's not really moving twice. It makes it more convenient. Now, I like this option a lot, but not everybody can do it, and I totally get that. The second option is not for everyone either, but it's sure convenient if you can pull it off. That is where we take our time to help you find the right home, and you put it under contract and then close on it before selling your current home. That is a real luxury for some people. First of all, to make this work, you have to have money for a down payment because you won't be able to unlock your equity from your current home. Most people use the proceeds of the sale of one home to post the down payment on the next home. When you close on the new home, you get to make all the upgrades you want, whether that's new paint or carpet, and then you move into it. You'll also be able to make some repairs and upgrades to the home you're selling and then maybe stage it for success. You'll get top dollar in that situation. It's awesome to sell a vacant home that's all tuned up. In this market, your home may even sell and close before you need to make your first payment on the new home you purchased, although there may be a month where you would make both payments. We've seen this scenario work out time after time. In order to make all this happen, you need to visit with our loan officer right away. Some people can easily qualify for both payments at the same time because they have little to no other debt. When the old home sells, you'll pocket a big chunk of money. Most lenders will allow you to do a mortgage recast where you can send that money in and then the whole loan is re-amortized to a lower payment as if you had used that money for your original down payment. One other strategy to consider is if you own a home that is highly appreciated, you can open up a line of credit on it a few months before you intend to make the move to a larger home. You borrow the money from your home equity line of credit to use as a down payment on another home. The payment on that loan will be factored into your debt to income ratios when your loan officer is putting your purchase together. Every client has a different risk tolerance, and we totally respect that. In a seller's market, I still see some risk, but there's much less than you might think. So if you're interested, let's talk through that situation. Along those same lines, and I'll only talk briefly about this, have you considered keeping your current home as a rental property? So many factors to consider here, but it could be a great strategy, and we need to devote a lot of time to it in a separate video. As many of you know, we offer property management services as well, where we take all the hassles out of owning real estate. Jared and I have developed a winning real estate portfolio over the years, and we can help you do the same. Okay, the third scenario is perhaps the most common. We would come out to your home and do a complete evaluation to determine the value. But also, we take a look at the things that you need to do to make sure that the home sells quickly. We'll provide professional contacts that can help you accomplish the tasks. If you choose to list your home with us, we'll send out a professional photographer, get the drone footage done, create the full video walkthrough tour, and do everything else so that we can simply push a few buttons and your home will go live on the MLS. As you're getting ready, we'll be showing you homes. We'll start narrowing the areas you want to be in, the price range, your wants and needs. When you find the right home, we'll make a very attractive offer to the seller. It's going to have to be great. In that offer, we'll have to disclose that you need to sell a home first, but we'll be able to say that you're completely ready to get your home on the market. The contract that we use has a lot of language to protect you in case your home doesn't sell. It will spell out a date by which you have to have the home listed and how long you'll have to put it under contract. There are some reporting requirements along the way as you negotiate the sale of your home with your buyer. I will tell you that some sellers are willing to accept this kind of a scenario, but in a multiple offer situation, they'll most likely choose a buyer that is unattached and can close quickly with few to no contingencies. In other words, even though this is a very safe option, the fact that you have to sell a home that isn't even listed yet can be seen as a liability. The next scenario is sort of a hybrid of what I just explained. We want to get you out there as a buyer, gain that valuable market context, get you comfortable with the inventory, comfortable enough that you'll feel confident that there's a home out there for you. At that point, we'll list your home. We want to be sharp on our pricing because we really need to attract 3 to 4 offers. We'll be very careful in selecting the right buyer based on pre-approvals, earnest money, half of which may go hard very soon after going under contract, along with other factors that affect your bottom line. Now, what will really seal the deal with a buyer is if they would allow you to stay in the home for, say, 2 weeks after closing. Sometimes we'll find a buyer who will let you stay for a month and you just pay them rent. A buyer that will allow the seller to stay after closing will most likely be the winner in a multiple offer situation. We are doing this more and more with great success. Now you can go out and find a new home and make an offer. Sure, it may still be contingent on the sale of your home, but we can tell the seller that you're under contract with the buyer. In fact, we may be able to tell the seller that your buyers have already inspected the home and the due diligence deadline is passed. The buyers had the home appraised and that came back without any problems, and that the financing is well in hand. Perhaps the buyer's earnest money has already gone hard. A seller will look at this situation much differently than if you are bringing them an offer subject to the sale of your home that hasn't even been listed yet. Now, hopefully we get a patient buyer on your home that allows you to stay put after closing so that you can finish your purchase and then move into it. The warning we give to all of our sellers is that in many cases we've set up a domino effect, meaning that the first buyer has to perform so that the second buyer can perform, and up the chain it goes. I've seen these 5 transactions deep, and that's a bit scary if somewhere along the line one of these deals falls apart. One last scenario that isn't used very often is negotiating an offer from a buyer and then adding a subject to seller acquiring new residence addendum. This allows the seller to pick a deadline by which they'll have to put another home under contract or even close on it before the contract to sell their home becomes fully valid. Buyers feel like they have zero control over the situation. The seller could back out technically for just about any reason and simply say that they just haven't found a home. The only way this addendum is effective is if you really made it worth it to a buyer to stick around. That may include selling it to them at below market value. The buyer would have to have no time frame in mind either. By the way, buyers can get distracted by other homes that might come out on the market and cancel the contract as well. An investor would be happy to offer you this kind of flexibility, but as I alluded to, they'll want something in return. It sure makes things very easy for you to go this route, but I personally view this as an ineffective addendum. So, is it great to be a seller in this market? Yes, it really is. But the seller who truly wins might be someone who is selling a rental property, or maybe someone selling a home here and moving to a market where values are much lower, where the market is slower. For example, we have a client who is selling a home right here in Utah for absolutely top dollar, and they're moving back east. They bought a building lot for $10,000 and are going to build a home. Selling their home is certainly a win. Your situation may be unique, and we can offer other solutions that would work for you. Let's talk about your options. We've helped hundreds of families transition from one home to another. We can make it as easy as it can be. Yes, there's always going to be some stress, but I'm amazed that things always seem to work out. Thanks for listening.